Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It is Monday night, 8 p.m. Will be known in the future as Monday Night Football with some certainty. We're not sure which certainty. However, tonight it's been called Manic Monday. It's been called Mock Draft Monday. Regardless of the name, you've got the Fantasy Football Buzz podcast. We are live tonight with the Commish, Cyclop, 2020. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great. Feeling good. Camps are starting. They're playing in pads, or practicing in pads, I should say, which is good. I happen to love when I saw a presser today, and they put out all these pictures of all these different teams in pads,
right?
And coaches wearing masks on their chin. It was great.
Yeah, I was watching Hard Knocks, and it's very interesting. I do recommend it for anybody if you want to watch Hard Knocks, because they really go into what the in-depth COVID procedures that teams are taking in order to be compliant and to be safe. I still am not sure whether or not we're going to have a season. However, if they continue to follow the protocols, it's probably more likely than not. But before we go any further, I do want to mention, give us a call tonight at 772-800-BUZZ, 2899. If you want to participate in our mock draft and that you have comments that you want to make, suggestions, I'm open for any suggestions that anybody has. Give us a call, or you can comment below in Facebook Live or YouTube Live, and we will read your comments out loud on the air, as long as it's done during the hour that we are here tonight. In the meantime, guys, I know that it's a topic that we've addressed before we get into the mock draft. It's a topic that we've addressed, and that is how are leagues going to deal with COVID. And I know that the three of us last night participated in a 2-hour meeting with the rest of our teammates, with the rest of our league, to talk about what changes we're going to make in order to deal with the COVID issues. Do either of you want to expound on what we ended up deciding and what we recommend maybe other leagues do?
So sorry, what you want to say? Just so you know, our league tends to take the most simple things and make them more difficult. Just that's a little preface to our.
I swear to God, I was just going to say, pre-pandemic, that would have been a 2-hour meeting. Let's just be honest.
So what we decided to do, essentially, pretty simple, is add 2 IR spots for COVID, but our league decided to make them for any IR. So it could be, because I think part of the thought was we're under the potential impression that there's going to be more injuries this year because less padded practices, because no preseason. So right. I think we are making it a extra 2 spot besides of our reserves, our bench players, IR spots, and we're going with that. 2020, I'll let you go into the other part of that, which is the how we decided to base the season as far as when the season will be considered full.
Exactly.
In the event that the NFL goes away because of COVID after a period of time.
Exactly, and to answer something that you're putting out there, Commish, another option, instead of adding another IR spot or a couple IR spots, and you have to check your league settings, is you can add just a couple, 1 or 2 additional bench players. Just obviously talk it over with your league, see how your league treats IR. Is it an active or just inactive player? Go through that, and you'll come up with the best decision, obviously, collectively. But the other thing that has to be addressed, the big elephant in the room, and by the way, curious, Commish, where your cynicism is and percentages is at this week, but in the reality that we don't have a full 17 regular season games, which is very likely, you want to have that nailed down with 100% certainty. So what we did was we decided if the season would have to go, I believe it was 10 games, correct? Isn't that what we decided?
No.
It was at 8 games, excuse me.
Right.
Right. So at 8 games, if the season was 8 games or less, at that point, we would get half of the season dues back. Of course, none of this is for money, but if it was for real money, because gambling's illegal, but you would give half of your season's fees back. And at that point, it would just be a pure points champion, paying out first, second, and third, fourth place with percentages accordingly first, second, and third, and fourth. After that, after 8 games, it's just going to be what we decided it was going to be based on record.
No, it's going to be based on points.
On points as well.
If the season does not finish, then it's going to be strictly based on points because we don't know if people have enough time to play against each other, is what it came down to. And by the way, your microphone, I don't know if you pulled the one from Radio Shack that you bought, but the sound is I don't know if Brad, if you're hearing that too with Keith, but the microphone.
I definitely am. I already texted him. You're actually a little bit low as well.
Okay.
Yep. But
is this any better? We're going to get a little closer.
No, I think that's the problem.
Just turn the volume down a little bit. And,
down. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So enough of the technical stuff. Nobody cares, but we're doing the best we can here tonight on Manic Monday, Mock Draft Monday. If any of you have any suggestions on how to handle the COVID issue, what do you do if 3 players from your team on a given week end up on the COVID list and cannot play? Do you just go to your bench? Do you have IR spots? Let us know. Give us a call or comment in Facebook Live or YouTube Live. Guys, before we go to the mock draft, I do want to throw up this trivia question. It was an issue that came up last night, and one of the people in our league gave us a trivia answer that was wrong. And so when I went to look it up today, because I was shocked at what he said the answer was, I found out that he was wrong. So I have the actual question tonight, and I've expanded on it. So here's the trivia question for tonight. In the past 3 years, there has only been one quarterback per year to throw for more than 500 yards in a game. Which quarterbacks in 2017, 2018, and 2019 threw for over 500, I know it says inches, but it's yards in a single game? So if you think you know the answer, give us a call, 772-800-BUZZ or 2899, or comment Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and we will get it on the air. Anything else, guys, before we jump to our mock draft?
No, let's get going.
We're going to get into the mock draft. There are a few injuries and things that happened today that I think we should just throw out there real quick. Jalen Hurd in San Francisco.
Gerald McCoy, big blow to Dallas defense.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And AJ Green, shocker, tweaked his hammy a little bit in practice today. So, he almost becomes undraftable.
Yeah, or at least you have him ready to go in the event he is healthy, and if you can grab him late, he's probably better than your 5th receiver. So it's something to keep in mind. Okay, so this is what we're going to do tonight, because it was my opinion, it's everybody's opinion here, that mock drafts are a little more compelling than us just talking about certain players. So it's almost like you're going to get to hear live what goes through our minds when we determine how we're going to draft. So what we did was Brad randomly assigned a draft position for each of us and said, before doing a mock, who do you think would be available at your position for the first, 10 rounds? And then we're going to go ahead and do a mock and see if those players actually are available. And if not, what we're thinking about when we determine who we're going to end up picking. So I hope that makes sense, Brad. How do you want to do this? Do you want to just then each talk about, what our number is and who we thought we would end up getting, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, why don't we go through and you're 2, correct? No, 2022. So why don't you start? You go through the first 2. You just do the first 2 rounds. We'll just do the first 2 rounds, and then we'll start the mock draft and see how it plays out, and kind of write down what you thought you were going to, what you're thinking about, and see how the mock draft plays out. And we're just so people know, we're putting in a half-point PPR, 10-person league. Obviously, these things are different if it's a 12-person league and whatnot. And I just wanted to point out, many of you listen to the podcast all week. So if you have any questions, you want to post anything, you can go to buzzfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Send us an email, post it on our Facebook site, because we know that not everyone can listen from 8 to whenever we're done on Monday nights. But we know that a lot of people are watching during the week. So just there's our email as well.
All right.
So
sounds great. So let's go ahead. 2020. Do you want to start us off here?
Let's jump right in.
Who would you pick?
So at number 2, obviously, I have my choice of everything after McCaffrey, and it's always back and forth. Is it Barkley or Elliott? I happen to love Barkley. I love his durability, love the team, and I love him there. So coming back around though, I've always been oh God, I thought my phone just died. A 2 running back guy. So what I really believe the next best running back that's going to be available at that point would either be Sanders or Chubb. I think Chubb might be gone, so I would grab Miles Sanders there. Love Chubb. So gotta say it. So my first 2 picks coming back at 2 and then at 19, you'd be looking at Miles Sanders. Now we're coming back. You want to go to this? You want to go back to go around to the 3rd round? Am I going through my whole thing, or are we just
just do 2 at a time. Just do
2 at a time.
Okay. So that was second. I've got 5th. So what I figured is I agree with 2020. I'm probably going with the best running back available. Now, I will tell you this. If Michael Thomas does drop to the 5th spot, I'm going to grab him, but I don't think he is. So in that case, I'm probably going to grab Dalvin Cook instead of Alvin Kamara at 5. That's where I'm sitting. And then coming back around in the 2nd round, I'm looking at either Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Jacobs, one of those 2.
All right. Interesting because so when I was preparing for this, I wrote out my mock draft, like what I was thinking. Then I did a few mock drafts and I'm like, holy cow, these guys are going to be available for me at this spot. And kind of going through, I will say, I don't think Miles Sanders will be there at 18. There's been a lot of talk about that. Peterson has come out and said that Sanders is going to be the guy. So I think Sanders' value is rising a little bit right now, quite a bit from all the things I'm reading. I don't think Helaire will be there at 15, but these are what we would like, right? So my 1st round pick at 8, if he's there, I'm taking him, but I don't think he'll be there, is Derrick Henry. I can't imagine he'll be there at 8 in a half-point PPR because he doesn't catch many passes. It's possible, right? My pick there is Josh Jacobs. I know Hilaire's there. I know there's a few other players there. I know I could get a receiver, but I'm going with Josh Jacobs. I like him. He catches the ball. He gets the carries. He's solid, and I think he's just gonna. I think he's gonna do well. My 2nd pick coming around the other end, depending on who's there. I know I'm kind of throwing out 2 different things here. Hill. If Hill is there, I take him. If I decide to stick with my 2 running back, as I think we've all kind of talked about, and we like to do, it would probably be Drake, although Sanders has been creeping up in my mind. And that's at number 13. So.
All right, very interesting. Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and where the rubber meets the road, and let's go ahead and do our mock draft. Let's see here. So if you're watching this on your phone, I recommend running to a desktop or a laptop or something where you can see the screen a little bigger. Not sure if you want this view or this view. Let's go ahead and do this here. And let's talk about what we have in front of us. By the way, this is the Draft Dominator from Football Guys. No, they are not a sponsor. We're not getting paid for promoting it.
Yeah.
But this is a program that I have used over the years. I really do like it. The user interface is not the best, but the information is very good. So if you look to your left here, you'll see the expanded draft. You'll see the draft board, then a cheat sheet. This one I've ranked by ADP as opposed to the rank, which I'll get into in a second. And we can see the teams that are going to be drafting. The rank, by the way, right here that you'll see in this column is really taking into consideration the league's rules. So even though there's an ADP that is taken across a bunch of mocks that people have done where a player's been drafted, this rank is specific for our league based on our scoring system. So That being said, if somebody gets drafted higher than you would expect them to, it's because they're fitting it into the rules of our league. Okay, we're good with that. So number one, like Keith said, is going to be Christian McCaffrey. And then, Keith, you came by, you said that at this point, who do you like? You wanted Barkley, you said, right?
Barkley. That's correct.
So he grabs Barkley. So then we see what happened after that was Michael Thomas went 3 and Devontae Adams went 4. And the reason is because of the PPR that we're in, receivers are valued a lot higher. Plus, there also is limitations as to the number of wide receivers available. If we take a look here at the position tiers for wide receivers, you can see that tier 1 and then tier 2, there's a few more left. And after that, they start to bunch in together.
Right.
All right. So now it hits me here at number 5. I hope you like the name of my team. It's called Rename My Team. I am asking for people to give me suggestions on what to call my team. So that's where we're at right now. I'm loving this. The fact that at 5 I can get Zeke, you've got to be kidding me. So I'm taking him. I'm not looking back. Now, Brad, it's your turn. It looks like Tyreek Hill went already, but look at this. Look what's available for you.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Alvin Kamara's there. I don't know. This just doesn't seem feasible.
Yeah, this doesn't seem very accurate.
But you know what? We're going to go with this, and I'm going to take, as much as I thought, I would get one of those other guys, I'm taking Kamara.
All right. Now, look, I know you guys are saying that this doesn't look accurate. The point is, how many have we been into? Right. No, have we been in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where it hasn't gone the way that we think it's going to go.
That's true.
We've got to be ready. And we're not putting these computer picks in. The computer's picking them. We're only putting our picks in.
Yeah.
So this could happen in a real draft, and we have to be ready for it.
Just think about it. If you get Bruno and Jeff in like the 4 and 5 spot, you don't know what could happen.
or Craig.
Or Craig. So, Brad,
that's true.
We're now in the second round. You were talking about Jacobs possibly in the first round.
I mean,
this is the top of the list.
This was a no-brainer for me. I was thinking about Jacobs there. I'm sticking with my 2 running back theory. I'm taking Jacobs here, and I think I have 2, certainly top 8 running backs in the draft. There's no doubt. That's a no-brainer.
Absolutely. All right, so now it's my turn. I had said originally I was going to grab Dalvin Cook, but I got Ezekiel Elliott, and then I wanted Jacobs or Hilaire. Both of them are gone. Hilaire just went 2 spots before me. So now I'm at the point where I'm looking at what do I want. The wide receivers here I don't love for the second round. Mike Evans, Kenny Golladay, I'm not grabbing these guys in the second round. I'm going to wait on that. So my options now really for running back, Mixon, Chubb, Sanders, Drake. To be honest with you, I'm loving Mixon this year only because I think the potential is there. Second round to take him at this point, I'm very happy about it. All right.
I'm not as high on Mixon, and I know he had a really good year, decent year last year. I just think with a rookie quarterback, I don't know. I know I
think that actually gives him more value. I really do. I think he's going to get the ball's going to be dumped in his hands a lot.
Well,
it's an improved line.
Yeah, absolutely. Since we're talking about Mixon here, let me just pull this up real quick, okay? Last year, 1,138 yards. He only had 5 touchdowns. That's the bad part. He did have 287 yards receiving. He's not a big receiver out of the backfield, and 3 touchdowns. But I think he's going to be getting the ball a lot more on the goal line than what we saw. If you look at the depth chart, he's got Gio Bernard, who's a third down back. He's not going to really have somebody who's going to take the goal line carries away from him.
He's a 3-down back, which is very valuable these days in the NFL. I mean, they're few and far between, as it seems. So yeah, that definitely puts his value up.
And plus, because I was able to get Zeke, I feel like I can get a little bit more in the second round now. And now we're coming back around in the second round. Keith, this is your second pick. What did you say originally?
Miles Sanders, and it looks like he's waiting there for me.
And
there you go.
Yeah.
Although I got to tell you, I did not expect Kenyon Drake to be there. But something, even with them both there together, um, I've also been seeing some of the talk up, even though Peterson is notorious for an RBBC, running back by committee. Howard's gone. I think it's his. I would take Sanders here, and I'm glad he's there. I would grab it. Yep.
Okay. So let's do this then. Before I grab him, let's talk about third and fourth round, guys. So we know you're going to grab Sanders here, right? So I'll go ahead and I'll grab Sanders for you at this point. Now, we know the next two picks were Evans and Galladay, and we're coming back around to you. But let's take a look at the draft board, okay? You've got two running backs. I've got two running backs. Brad's got two running backs. But the point is, it looks like everyone else, look at Ringer's going to need a running back. They're not going to sit on not getting a running back. So we know what's coming up in a sense, right?
That's right.
And then there's going to start to be the run on receivers as well.
Well, I think I might surprise you. And I wouldn't normally do this. It's just too tasty to not do it. I'm upset to see Mahomes gone because I have it down here, third round. My first pick coming back would have been Mahomes. But with Mahomes gone, I would still take a stab at Lamar Jackson here. In early third round, I usually do wait on quarterbacks, but again, what he did in the league last year was so prominent that I would grab Lamar Jackson here in the early third round.
Okay. So the question is, and if you look at the stats over here at the bottom right, is whether or not this 36 touchdown total is sustainable for Lamar.
Right.
I think the receiving yards are probably going to be about the same. It's just whether or not we're going to be able to succeed. And also the 1,200 yards rushing, is that sustainable? But not a bad pick. If that's what you're committing to, that's great. Then it comes to me. And, I don't have receivers yet, but I'm looking down here at some of the receivers that will probably be available when I come back around. But with somebody like Drake available at this point, it's hard for me to turn that down. I do love Eckler. In fact, I was predicting that I'd probably end up getting Eckler in the third round at this point, but that was without Drake being around. And if you look at the fantasy points that they're projecting, Drake to have 232 versus Eckler 220. And just so y'all know, because we're talking about PPR, look at Eckler's rushing yards. He really doesn't run, right? We knew that. We also knew that he was back up to Melvin Gordon, where he's not going to deal with that this year. But last year, he only had 557 yards on the ground, but he had almost 1,000 yards receiving.
Right.
And we don't know with that new offense if that's going to be the same.
Right.
So I love Drake here. 817 yards rushing. These stats are not as good as Eckler's, but I think it's a different offense, a different year. I'm going with Drake there.
All right, so then Kittle and Cooper go off the board. It's amazing. After doing these mock drafts, the one thing I realized was I so desperately don't want the 8 pick in the draft. After putting mine together and looking at them and putting mine, now we know in our league, because of our vast years of experience, we still won't know what will happen. But I think this is a little heavier wide receiver earlier than our league is. Other things I think are pretty much in place, but I think there'd be, now I was thinking more running backs would be gone. It's starting to look about in the third round what I was thinking, because if I had gotten a receiver in the second round that I was looking at Hill, I was looking at either Carson or Fournette here. Now, Eckler is also a nice pick here. I didn't think he would be there. But considering I have both, I have 2 running backs already, and I think there's some value in some later running backs. I'm going to get a receiver here. And I know now I'm going to wait on one, but I'm taking Adam Thielen here. He's just sitting there. He's the number 1 guy there. Of course, they have Jefferson, but I mean, he catches too many touchdowns. I'm taking Thielen.
Okay, so here's a good question. There was a comment made as it fills in. There was a comment made, where am I going to play Drake? Because it put him here on our bench. Now, a lot of leagues will have starting lineups where they'll have a flex position, right? I actually thought that we did, probably because I play in so many leagues, I forget which league we don't. But I assume now that we don't have a flex in this league. But that being said, I still don't necessarily think that was a bad pick, because if the question is, do I want to take somebody like Thielen over somebody like Drake, I'm not sure that I would even do that, even if he ends up on my bench, because to have 3 running backs of that quality, either you have trade bait, you have a COVID fill-in, or you have a bye week. I mean,
yeah, and
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
And getting somebody
and there's
like
so many Thielens out there right now.
Right,
there's
exactly.
Right around that.
You have Tyler Lockett and Robert Woods and Metcalf.
There's
a lot of players out. Now, this is somebody that I kind of had targeted, and he's actually, I have him right here on my list, number 4, and he's right there sitting for me, is Odell Beckham. He was my number 4 pick right there. I don't know if you can see that, but that's who I targeted there as my second receiver. So I will stick with him and take him. Looking for his, just as good with more touchdown upside this year. Right.
All right. So it's very interesting. It now comes to me, and I know that I need wide receivers. I think it's a little too early to grab Dak Prescott at this point or Deshaun Watson. I will still wait on the quarterback. There's still some good running backs in my mind available, but I'm not going to grab a 4th running back. So really it comes down, do I like Juju? Do I like Ridley, Lockett, Woods, Metcalf? And if you all have been watching the show, and let me do this, if you don't mind, let me just go to wide receivers here, and let's look at these tiers here and see what's available. Now, this program, based on our league, has the tier 4, all of these receivers, because you can see Metcalf, for example, is projected 185, Ridley 195. So there's really not that much difference in here.
Right.
So when you're faced with a situation with a lot of receivers like this, you have to determine which one, number 1, you think you want, that really gets you excited. 2, what do the matchups look like, right? Let's take Woods, for example. Here's his schedule. So you can see there's a few tough weeks here. San Francisco, Chicago, San Francisco again, New England, although I think that's a little low. But I don't want to get Ridley. He's the 2nd receiver in Atlanta. Juju, we don't know what's going to happen there. Lockett, good player, had him last year. But for some reason, I'm liking Woods this year, so I'm pulling the trigger on Woods. So after we get to Keith, let's take a look at the draft board, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we see you've got the 2 running backs. You've got Lamar. You're sitting pretty. You just need to grab some receivers possibly, or a tight end at this point, although there's probably not a tight end at this point.
No, definitely not a tight end. I was definitely going to grab at this point the next best receiver off the board, which I had, and I got to see who's available here. I had it as Cortland Sutton. Let me see who we have, though. Is Smith-Schuster there?
Yes, he is.
Yes.
That's hard to not take him.
Yeah, so Juju, just, to put it up here, because he really didn't play last year.
Right.
I mean, he did, but he didn't play well last year.
But Big Ben wasn't there. With Ben Roethlisberger back, a healthy Ben, a healthy Juju, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't see the 2018 Juju Smith-Schuster. So I think this is a great pick here.
There you go. He's yours.
Coming back.
Yep,
love it.
Now we're in the 5th round, right?
Yep.
You're still looking at your draft board here, right? So 2 running backs, quarterback, a receiver. What's going on in your mind right now, knowing, let me just pull the full list of available players, and we'll do it based on ADP here.
And that's so funny because you had my next guy would have been Tyler Lockett as the next receiver, and it looked like he was right there. And that's exactly who was on my wish list at this point.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
All right. Then it comes back to me. You like Lockett this year. I actually like DK this year. So he's my guy.
So I don't know if you can see, but so the last two picks, Metcalf and Connor, and then Prescott right before me, is my next two guys that I have on my list. So they were right in that range, but it's that happens. It's a just miss. So you have to kind of figure where you are here. I'm going to wait on quarterback at this point. I just think there's too much value. I'm going to wait probably till the 8th round on quarterback. So far, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4 quarterbacks. So can you go back to the to the list? All right. So at this point,
now, based on ADP, these running backs. However, based on the rankings of who's already been taken and the scoring of our league, this is who they recommend at this point.
Yeah, I don't love any of these people. There's AJ Green right there, down the list a little bit.
Yeah.
This is tough. I tell you somebody that I like, and he would be my third receiver, and we're in a 3-receiver league, and I may go with Shark here. It might be a little bit of a reach, but he just, I think, has that upside. Right. I know that the Jacksonville offense is not supposed to shine this year, but sometimes when you're on a bad defense, they gotta play catch up all the time, and we know that sometimes what that turns into.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's not that much of a reach when you look at who's available in this 4th tier, right?
Right.
Warren, we know that the Washington football team is going to be a crap. We know that. We know he'll get some points. TY, without Rivers, we don't know what to expect. I'm sorry.
With Rivers,
we don't know.
With Rivers, right.
With Rivers.
Yeah.
Without Rivers, we don't know what to expect. Devontae, we've talked about him in our show. You think there might be some type of regression with Devontae. So grabbing Chark here is not necessarily a bad thing. I think all of these receivers are lumped in all in about the same position. So I understand you like Chark. He's yours. Yes. And now we're coming back around into the 6th round now. And
it comes back to me.
Right, to you. But before you pick, let's take a look. You've got your 2 running backs. You've got your 3 wide receivers. Those are your starters right now.
So there's a running back that I have him right here. He's on my list. He is available, and he is a rookie, but he is the starter, as far as we know. And again, he's my 3rd running back, and I think the value of having that backup running back, and with still plenty of quarterbacks out there to choose from. And I'm going to go with Akers here. I know it might be a round or 2 early.
Wow, a round?
Yeah.
No, seriously. I mean, I'm being honest here. Take a look at these running backs.
Yeah, there's David Johnson, Bell.
Yeah, Lev Bell. Over Lev Bell.
Let's talk this through.
Even Montgomery.
There's Akers
David
right
Johnson,
there.
Le'Veon Bell, Jones, Montgomery.
Oh, you know what? I would probably take Swift before Akers. Going from this list, I didn't see the whole list before. But I had Akers 2 rounds later. But once I missed on a couple of the other running backs, I kind of moved him up my board a little bit. But yeah, now looking at it, I would probably wait because he's going to be there in 2 more rounds, and I would potentially wait and
he's going to be there probably into the 9th, 10th round.
Right. And we're in the 6th, so 7th. No, we're in the 5th.
We're just on the 6th round.
The 6th, right? So 7th, 8th. Yeah, 7th, 8th, 9th. Yeah, I could certainly wait on him. Going back on that. So I will pull that back. I will take David Johnson here, I guess. I'd rather get a 3rd running back that I feel is going to have some upside before I get into my quarterback. I have a quarterback that I'm targeting. We'll see if he's there in next round or the round after even.
Gotcha. Well, I understand what you're doing, and I would agree. Obviously, I agree. I grabbed the running back early because I wanted to have the 3 top running backs. At this point, in my mind, right, we're at the draft, and I'm thinking, what do I want to do? Do I go with the quarterback? I like Kyler Murray, but at the same time, I have Kenyon Drake. So I don't necessarily want to have a quarterback running back combination. I don't personally like that. And there's other quarterbacks that'll be available later.
Right.
Keenan Allen, we talked about, we don't know what it's going to be like for the Chargers. We don't know without Rivers if Keenan Allen's going to be Keenan Allen. And then with Waller, I'm not touching a tight end right now. Parker and Gallup, to me, it's between the value of Keenan Allen being the number one receiver on the Chargers or Devontae Parker being the number one receiver on the Dolphins. And even with Preston Williams coming back, I'm going to take the homer pick, and I'm going with Devontae here. I really think he's going to continue.
That's a solid pick.
Year.
Yeah, I mean, even if he regresses a little bit, he still should have a solid year. I mean, they're certainly going to be a throw-happy offense.
Right. Now, you see this, we just had a bunch of receivers come off the board now. A lot of those Tier 4 receivers are gone. Keith, you're looking at 2 running backs, 2 receivers. You need another receiver for your starting lineup. You've got your quarterback already. What are you thinking at this point? I'm not necessarily talking about which player you're going to take, but what are you thinking as far as strategy now with your current team, where you might want to be going now?
Yeah, so at this point, generally with a 2 RB, 2 wideouts, and a flex, I always prefer to get, if possible, another running back here, especially one that might also grab some balls. And that came out funny, but get some catches in there. It would be really hard. I had Tyler Boyd here at this point. I love him, especially with AJ Green hurt. Guy had 90 grabs last year, and Burrow's going to feed him. But it's hard. As much as I hate this team, how do I not grab Le'Veon Bell here, who is the 3-down back?
Because he's a Jet. But
and he averaged 2 yards a carry last year.
Understood. But here, what do we miss?
He's got a 5th round ADP.
And I'm getting him in the 6th at the end.
So you're getting
that is just
value here. So I understand.
Pure value taking him here. It's and I honestly feel like coming back around, I'm still going to get Tyler Boyd, who I would want here.
Okay, so let me run through the wide receivers real quick.
Let's see who we have.
And let me put in my tiers. All right. So according to this, we've got Gallup still in. He's the only one left in what they called the 4th tier.
Right.
Then Brown. Obviously, AJ Green. We know that there's been some injuries in camp.
Right.
Then that whole list, what they call the bench group of Edelman, Landry, Boyd, Cooks, Johnson. But you like Boyd, right?
I do like Boyd, although Edelman's going to be interesting. It's just I hate new quarterback receiver connections. Right. Where Tyler Boyd last year without AJ Green, and again, even with him back, he's the number one guy there. He's gonna. I really believe, although it's also a new quarterback, understood, but I think that's an upgrade. That being said, I think I still probably would go with Tyler Boyd. Just let me just scroll through it. Let me see his there again a little bit.
You have Edelman, Landry, Deontay Johnson.
Landry's interesting too. Didn't Landry grab 90 balls last year or something close to it?
Yes.
Yeah, so here's Landry's stats. Last year, he had 83 catches for 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now let me see here.
He's a little banged up, isn't he, right now?
Who, Landry?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I saw that he was a little banged up. I saw somewhere he was.
Nothing,
okay.
But here's the problem, right? You have a bye-week clash, week 9. Let's go to your
actually, the first thing they talk about with Landry in there is that he hasn't missed a game in 6 seasons.
Right.
Crazy. Yeah. And
I didn't
this is why I love these type of programs, especially with football guys, draft dominating, because they're going to put that little bell next to you, which tells you, there's a little problem here with your draft. And so there's going to be this bye-week clash. Now, you may or may not care because if you have extra receivers, and it may not matter.
Yeah, I don't ever, and I agree with that. And sometimes I will, if I'm really stuck right on the fence between two players. I might use that bye week as a tie break, but for me, it's 1 week, it's one game. I try not to let that interfere with picking someone that I'm going to have for a whole season. With Jarvis Landry there, that's hard to, because that is his, he loves Beckham. There's no question, but Landry is his safety valve, his favorite target. I think they're going to be improved under the new offense. I actually would grab Landry here.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, good. So now it comes back to me. I'm going to go to look at everybody that's available here, back to my list. And it's more or less the same thing that we saw before, right? So looking at my team, I've got 3 running backs here. I've filled in my wide receivers. I think there's a bunch of receivers sitting down here that I can always get later. Tight ends, I can always get later. I'm not too worried about that right now. But you know what? This year, I'm a Drew Brees fan. And I think when I'm looking at Brees, Brady, Wentz, Murray, Stafford, at this point, I think 7th round, I'm okay grabbing a quarterback. So I'm going to grab Brees here. Almost hit 3,000, hit 27 touchdowns. And remember, in our league, it's a team quarterback. So Taysom Hill's stats are going to come into this pick as well. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my quarterback. And now we are with Brad.
Can I see the board for a second?
Of course. So you've got the 3 running backs now. You've got the 3 wide receivers. So now do you go back up or do you go for, one of your starters, your tight end or your quarterback at this
point? So I didn't realize that the quarterback that I wanted is now gone. I just didn't see it when it drafted. It wasn't too long ago.
Ryan?
Well, I was looking for somebody else, but I guess he went a lot earlier than I thought. But yeah, then Matt Ryan was like my backup.
Well, no, let's talk. I mean, we're not doing anything secret here. Let's talk about who you were looking at.
So I was looking at Deshaun Watson, and I was thinking about him. I didn't realize he got drafted. I just didn't see it because I don't.
Yeah, and most likely, no, it's fine. And most likely, Deshaun Watson will probably go in the 4th or 5th round, right, guys? That's something that we need to be cognizant of. If you're a fan of Deshaun or you're a fan of Dak, you got to grab him 4th or 5th round. Right. He's not going to fall, with some of these other guys.
And I love this Matt Ryan pick here late, so late. It's so sneaky. This guy's always like QB7, QB8, right around there, and he goes so late. Such a good guy as a draft strategy. Let everyone pick the Deshaun's, the Russells. Get your guys and then wait on Matt Ryan, and this guy's always going to keep you in games.
I had him in a few leagues last year, and it seemed like every week, at halftime he would have 100 yards, but by the end of the game he would have 380.
Unbelievable.
And 3 touchdowns.
Great guy to wait on in a draft.
All right.
Just great.
So we know that Brad now has the 3 running backs and the 3 receivers. What do you?
So can you put up the
list here?
Put up the list.
What are you thinking? Or here's everybody. I can go through ADP. Here's the ADP order. Or we can say what's best for our league based on who's already been taken.
Yeah, so I want to – although I like Darren Waller, and he obviously had a monster first half of the year last year, I don't want a tight end and my starting running back on the same team.
Right.
Running back wide receiver sometimes works, but I just don't like the tight end running back combo at this point. So if I'm going to go for a quarterback here, I'm going to say it's Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
He, just his weapons around him with Fitzgerald and Drake, who catches out of the backfield, and Hopkins.
Yeah.
And
a very good rookie.
And Christian Kirk. I mean, the list goes on with his weapons. Yeah. And he can run. So I don't mind that pick there.
Not a problem. Okay, so the news came out that he added some muscle weight.
Yeah.
So I guess that might help him stay a little healthier.
So he's what, 145 now?
Looking wet. Okay, I think that's a good pick here, Brad. If Brees was gone, I probably would have grabbed Murray at that point. I think that's a good pick. Now we've come back around. And we're here in the 8th round, and we're only going to do 8 rounds tonight. So this will be your last pick in this round. what are you thinking now? You've got your quarterback and your running back and your receivers. Are you going to go tight end here, or are you going to build your bench?
So I don't see him here, but I think he's still available, and it's a guy that I talked about weeks ago that I liked, and I just don't I didn't see him on the list, but is Swift still Swift?
DeAndre, yes.
Yeah. You know, this
I think let me go to running backs here.
I think he was still available. And
yes,
he's probably down the list a little bit.
No, he's right.
Oh, no, he's right there. Yeah. You know what? I'm taking him. I talked about him a couple weeks ago. He's a guy that's on my radar. I think it's a good spot for him because I'll work on quarterback the next round through, one of the next 2 picks because they're only a few apart. And I'll get a tight end and my quarterback the next 2 rounds, 9 and 10, to fill that out. But I just, sometimes you just like a guy, and if he's there in this range, why not?
Right. Okay, so then it comes to me here. Brandon Cooks is off the board. I wasn't going to touch the concussion boy anyway. Tom Brady, he'll have a good season, but I'm not interested. I already have my quarterback. At this point, I could start building my bench with some pretty good receivers. I could steal Tyler Boyd away from Keith. I can grab Taylor, who I really like. In fact, I like him better than DeAndre. But, that would be my 4th running back. So you said something, Brad. You said if there's a guy you really like and you want to grab him, grab him. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to reach here in the 8th round. And for the sake of fun here, I'm grabbing Tyler Higbee with the Rams. Who had a sensational second half of the season. He's almost like a receiver. And with a PPR league, I'm grabbing Higbee. He had 69 catches and really only played half the season.
I just think you might have been able to wait a round or 2 to get him. But like you said, you wanted him. You don't want to miss on someone.
You know what? Yeah. He's on my tight end list. So, that would have been, and I know he's not rated higher than some of the tight ends that are still out there, but like you say, in half a season last year, he was off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
For example, this has them ranked, if you're doing an ADP, they have Hunter Henry, Jared Cook, and Hawkinson before Higbee. And I don't like any of those guys. Normally, Hunter Henry would be fine for me. But again, here we are. We don't know what that offense is going to look like. I'm not a huge Jared Cook fan. Hawkinson, I'm not a fan at all. So the fact that Higbee was sitting there for me in the 8th round, I'm happy with. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I like it.
Let's go. This is it, Keith, in the 8th round here. Oh, and by the way, I noted if anybody noticed that Darren Waller was actually still there, and I grabbed.
I did see that.
And then I got Higbee over Waller. I just don't see. I see a regression with Waller.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead, Keith. What are you looking at? Do you want to look?
Show me the board again, please.
Tyler Boyd's still there.
I did see that. So I've got.
Because he'd be your 4th.
You've got your starting lineup without.
I've got 3 running backs, right? 3 running backs, 3 receivers, and my quarterback.
Right.
So what I would do is I
you have a quarterback?
Don't call him a running back.
Oh, okay. All right.
So funny. So I just want to see.
And he has Lev Bell, so I don't know if that's really a running back either.
Don't be hating. So just as far as tight ends, we got the big 3 gone: Ertz, Kelsey, and of course Kittle. Also selected already was Higbee. I just want to see if there's.
I'll show you the tight ends. So obviously tier 1 gone, tier 2's gone, and now we're in tier 3. I grabbed the bottom of tier 3. But that's
so you got Henry, Cook. Yeah, so I'm not touching this. Because all of these guys, Henry. Listen, if it was Phillip Rivers there, that would be interesting. But all of these are pretty much interchangeable for me. So yes, not going there. I probably would just
scroll down a little. Yeah, if you're going to go for one of those guys, some of these other guys, Noah Fant, Hooper, Doyle,
I love Gesicki. What Gesicki did at the end of the year.
I love all those guys. Yeah. All those guys are
late rounders.
Oh, wait, so there's something else to note here, is that there's only 2 teams that don't have tight ends.
Right, and that's the other thing I saw.
Know that most likely nobody, is going to grab a backup tight end at this point, right?
Right.
Or even anytime soon. So if there are at least 2 tight ends that you're happy with, you can wait.
That's right. And that's exactly what I do. And so my thoughts are this. I want to see how many in this next tier of receivers there are. And do I think I need to grab one now? Or do I want to wait and come back around? And my only other thought is with Lamar Jackson, the fear of the way he runs around the field and hurts his body. Is there a possible end of tier 1 quarterback that I might want to grab right now in lieu of getting that mosh of all those wide receivers out there? And I think I still saw
I think
Tom Brady.
Brady.
So, and that to me was interesting. Brady is gone. Okay, so he was there a moment ago.
Stafford, Roethlisberger. I mean, these are all guys that.
Did I see Aaron Rodgers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And again, is it the Aaron Rodgers from last year who had like 3 good games? I suffered through him for the first 7 weeks and he killed me.
4,000 yards and 26 touchdowns. So he's not a slacker.
No, he's not. He at the end of in the last third of the season, he turned it around.
Yes. The first half, he was not good.
First half, he was horrible. But that's Aaron. Something that would be hard. So Aaron Rodgers, I am going to bookmark. Can you give me a quick shot of the receivers to see if there's anyone that's just jumping out at me that I have to have that I wouldn't want to miss coming back around on?
Well, right now, you've got Johnson in Pittsburgh. You've got Boyd. You've got Marvin Jones.
Interesting. Yeah.
You have a couple of the rookies. You have
Judy, right,
and CeeDee Lamb.
You got Bell. You might as well grab Crowder.
No, just be quiet. I'm like, I can only stand one of those. But you got Christian Kirk there. Chark's off the board, I'm sure, right? Yeah. So you know something? Then again, the question is, would Aaron Rodgers be there coming back around as well? So you know what? And I honestly think because there's so many guys that would, I'm going to grab Boyd. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take what to me which would be the right move. Take Boyd, and I think Rodgers is still available for me coming back around.
All right, so we're going to end it here, but you're talking about Rodgers. We look that Matt Hacker here is still waiting, is still trying to get a quarterback. Everybody else has their first quarterback already. So unless Matt Hacker takes Rodgers, he should be available for you.
Right.
When it comes all the way back around later. Oh, no, you have in the 9th round now, you would have a pick. But just you don't necessarily have to take Rodgers here anyway.
Right, I would probably even wait again. Exactly. And if not, I wouldn't be upset with Big Ben because a healthy Big Ben.
But the concept is spot on, Keith. If you have Lamar Jackson, you have a running quarterback, it's worth grabbing that person later just to make sure as a flyer in the event that your starter gets hurt. I think that's a good strategy and something to think about. We're going to end it here because we don't want to get down into start talking about kickers, and that'll just kill the show in a second. But, if anybody has any comments, they want to talk about it, no one answered the trivia question, so I think I'm going to go ahead and answer that. It seems to be something I'm keep doing here. But in our meeting last night, it was brought up that Tannehill had 500 yards, and we're all like, what? And no, he did not have 500 yards. There's only been 3 quarterbacks in the past 3 years that have thrown for over 500 yards. And I don't know if any of you guys have any guesses or who you think. We know last year was Jared Goff. Mm-hmm. He had over 500 yards.
I had gotten another one when you put this out earlier. Right. I had guessed it. I looked it up to see if I was correct, and it was Roethlisberger.
That's right. Roethlisberger did, and there's one. Roethlisberger did in 2017, and who did it in 2018?
I did not know that. I know it now because when I looked up Roethlisberger, I also found the other one.
Right.
But
you can say it.
You have a guess? You have a guess, Keith?
In 2018?
Yeah.
Wasn't Breeze?
No. Same first letter.
Same first
B? Letters. Same first 2 letters.
Yes.
As Breeze. Okay, so oh my god.
Okay. Drugs are bad.
Yes, the spacing.
It's
All
okay.
right. So it was Tom Brady.
Oh, Brady, duh. Okay.
Okay. So, all right. There's our trivia question for the night. Again, nobody got it. Nobody called in, but we did get through 8 rounds of our mock draft tonight. We're going to possibly do another one next Monday night or the Monday night after that. But this Thursday night, guys, we have a special treat. We have a young man named Mystic Zach with iPickWins.com. He is a soothsayer, this guy. He can pick, and he doesn't do it for money like a lot of these other handicappers do. He just does it for fun, and he just happens to be right every time. So we're going to have him on. He's also a big Dallas Cowboy fan. He's going to talk of fantasy football with us as well, and that'll be Thursday night. Guys, is there anything else you want to talk about before we close the show for the night?
So yeah, real quick, I just want to throw it out there. As people go to pick their draft spots this year and do different things. Last year we did it with a NASCAR race, and there's all different kinds of things you can find. We decided in our meeting last night to do it with the NBA, and we picked going into the playoffs. So it started today. The top 5 teams from the East and the top 5 teams from the West. Put them in a hat, and each person got a team from our 10-person league, and it's the first total points scored of the first 3 games that they're going to play. Obviously, every team's going to play at least 3 games. So that's how we decided to do it. If you want to call and tell us or email us and tell us how you did it, we'd love to share and learn different ways.
All right.
Or go watch a couple episodes of The League. They had some really fun ways.
That's true, too.
Yeah, I want to start watching that again. All right, guys. So I think we're done for the night. We're going to do this again Thursday night at 9:15. Hope to see all of you there for the commish, Cyclops, Keith. Hope everyone has a very good night, safe few days, and we will see you all Thursday night.
See you on Thursday.
Out.